Welcome everyone, it's EvanHusa57 here. I am back on the Xbox One with yet another new game to review. So, I will be reviewing for you Crossout, which is a pretty interesting game, and I'm going to do an in-depth review on this. So, the good, the bad, the ugly, what is a pro, what is a con, what needs to be changed, basically everything to give you an idea of whether or not you should play this game. At the end, I will use a basically 1 through 10 rating, and this is going to be one of those games that I'm actually going to give 2 possible ratings to. So you heard me mention I'm on the Xbox One. This is not on PC. I do believe the game is available on PC, though, of course. And let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So first off, I am going to show you on the Game Hub, just to give you a general idea, because you can go and see kind of how long you've played the game and what's going on, that I have put some considerable time into this. I have actually played a in-game amount of time of 4 days, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Have about 50% of the gamer score for it. So this is not just, oh, I tried it for an hour. This is something that, I've actually put some time into to figure out the economy and the ins and outs of the game and provide you a fair review. Now, I am not sponsored by the company or any company at this time, so my opinions are 100% my own. Let's go ahead and dive into this game. So right off the bat, you caught a glimpse of the trailer at the start of my video, and that is what had me hooked on this game, was the trailer. It's literally, I seen it, it was shiny, I wanted it, and it felt like it would be a really cool game. However, it does feel like it's laid out better for PC than an actual Xbox One controller. Now I'm going to go ahead and tear right into this. And I'm going to start with its initial rating. So never mind the vehicle that I have here, it was just something that I was testing out. But my initial rating for this game, which is gonna probably get a few people upset. Initially, I can only give this game a 5 out of 10. And the reason for that is there are some pretty major bugs with the game, and a meta, which I will get into later. However, this game, I believe, has the potential, if they changed a couple of things, to earn easily an 8.5, maybe even a 9 out of 10, if they change a couple things. Now, this is the way that my mind works and how I like to play games. It might not be exactly the same for you. But you start with a relatively basic car, and you guys probably seen my beginning, take a look at the game video, and I had a lot of fun with it. You start with a vehicle basically just like this, a small pickup with a couple machine guns on it. And it's quite a fun game at that point. But very, very quickly, you will run into a major issue. And that issue is this PS, or power score. Eventually, you are going to get to the point where you try and build up your vehicle, and you're going to get stuff that you want to put on the vehicle. Maybe some extra machine guns, or maybe a blue weapon or a purple weapon or something like that, and you really want to put it on there. But you will be put into such a high power score bracket because the brackets are undefined in this game. There is nowhere that you can go and look, and this is the first con of the game. There's nowhere that you can look under battle or anything. When you select it, it'll tell you like it requires a certain level, or it'll require a certain PS or power score, but there's no way to determine brackets. Like, okay, I'm over 4,000 power score and I can do the very first playlist, and sometimes you will get matched against same odd level people, and sometimes drastically higher. So there's a few power score brackets that aren't clear and they aren't really defined very well. Like my truck right now is over 4K, and I keep facing 8K to 10K opponents, which is just about ridiculous. So I have to strip it down to something that's a little bit more basic. Now, one thing that I do like is how customizable your vehicle is. This is a great pro to it. You can change pretty much everything. You can change the cabins, you can change the weapons. There's melee weapons, weapon coolers, fuel barrels, all kinds of stuff that you can add and you can play around with. All different stuff that you can make, because there is a crafting system in the game, which is something that I was excited about. So there's all different levels based upon your faction of items that you can craft. Everything that you can craft takes different requirements, whether it be scrap or different parts to make it. And then as you go up in the factions, which you can change your faction once every 24 hours, there's no charge or anything for it, but you can get different weapons and better parts, and then even eventually be able to make like the epic weapons and stuff, which as you can see in my storage, I already had a couple of those. So that part I really truly loved about the game. However, now this is a con, every single weapon that I like or want to use, every weapon class is junk. And that is unfortunately because of a very, very clearly defined meta in this game. Now, normally there are counters, and in the game there is some hard counters. Like the counter to flying drones is machine guns. The counter to, autocannons is cannons. The counter to machine guns is like shotguns. But there is a very clearly defined meta, and that is this particular faction right here, which is the Lunatics faction, that specializes in nothing but melee and shotgun damage. They have some of the strongest shotguns in the game, and also if you look at that shotgun, it can be hidden extremely easily. Like, you can armor up everything around the shotgun so just the barrel sticks out. Also, the melee weapons are a major problem because you can build vehicles that people get stuck on and literally have no way to get off. Like, it's impossible to get off. You can also test drive other vehicles and loadouts from factions, which is really cool. So, like, I'll test drive this guy. And he's not really that great, but he's super fast. And just to give you a general idea, that's how much damage shotguns can do. And that's just basic blue and one purple shotgun. Highly mobile, and they can just strip weapons and parts insanely quickly, to the point that once you lose your weapons, your vehicle is basically useless. So I really don't like that. I don't like how powerful shotguns are. With that being said, they could easily be toned down and countered at range with a machine gun, which is what I normally do. However, people go and they build these massive melee builds, and I don't know if there's a preset one that I can show you. No, that one just has a lance on it. Like this, yeah, that has a runic weapon on it, but I'll give you an idea of how quickly this weapon can destroy a vehicle. So basically all that they have to do is ram into you and keep grinding on you, and they can completely destroy your vehicle in a matter of seconds. Now, that's where I have an issue with the game. Great melee weapons, yeah, they do damage. They should be able to do some damage because, of course, you got to hit the opponent with them. What I have issues with is the melee builds that you can get completely stuck on, where you can't do anything at all. That's where I have an issue with melee weapons, because you can literally build your vehicle out. Like, basically, if I go to build, what people will do is they will build contraptions using frames onto literally the sides of their vehicle. And I can't really place it there because I have a wheel, but they will build these contraptions out to the sides, and then they will put on these particular like buzzsaws. They'll put buzzsaws out on the sides, or they'll put another weapon called an auger out on the sides, and they will trap you on that weapon, making it so that you can't move. You can't move, you can't hit them, you can't literally do anything about them. And it's just really annoying and really broken in the game. basically melee and drones, because they just buffed the drones, and now drones do even more damage. Like the ground drones do even more damage than they used to the point that they are pretty much overpowered, because I will show you what I like to use, and then you guys can kind of go from there. So this will be a little bit longer video because, well, I'm gonna try and make it as in-depth and cover everything as possible. So let me just go ahead and get a little bit of an armor shield on the back here, because I'm gonna try and shield these guns that I put on in a minute. And this is another thing that people have gone to doing, which is a bit of a problem in my opinion. So here's the different classifications of machine gun. There's the basic ones that you start with, the white ones, blue ones, and then this is the purple Spectre machine gun. Now, these are supposed to reward damage for basic accuracy and be very good against per part damage. However, they're not widely used because people use miniguns, and the miniguns can strip your weapons in a matter of seconds. So what I was doing was using vectors and a Spectre and my improved radiators and just getting massacred. So now what you'll see is you'll see a lot of people using many of these chored machine guns. First of all, their power score is extremely low, so you don't really have to worry about them too much. They're only like a 240 power score, so they don't raise your power score that much. And you can basically mount 5 of them plus a weapon cooler with ease on your vehicle. And that's just using like this trucker cab. That's not even using like a really high level cab or anything like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount the other 2 up top here. And all you want to do is you want to stagger them so that you have a bit of ascending height to it. And this way all of them can target the same vehicle, whether it be in front of you or behind you or anything like that. It doesn't matter. And I need to put one more on. Now, granted, that piece is not going to be able to see behind me, but that's okay, because I don't really care if my weapons see behind me with this particular cab. Now, with other cabs, you can hide your weapons a hell of a lot better. And that's one reason why I do like some of the other cabs better, is because you can actually hide your weapons. So then you put the improved radiator in there, and it's kind of hard. The controls for like placing parts are not really that easy. They are definitely built more for a PC platform, but you can kind of squeeze the parts in and make them nice and compact. And my vehicle is still just under the 4K power bracket, so I should get matched against lower level players, or slightly lower. Now, behind me is a problem because my weapons can't shoot behind me, and that's just the way that this cab is. But to give you an idea, you can do a massive amount of damage and just strip off all the armor with these 5 chords compared to running 2 vectors and like the Spectre, or 2 Spectres and weapon coolers and everything. So it is definitely a bit overpowered that 5 weak white weapons can outperform blue weapons, just depending upon your playstyle. Also, they are extremely effective at stripping other weapons. As you can see, because I have 5 bullets hitting basically every time, you can strip off the weapons on another vehicle very, very easily, and then the vehicle is just toast after that. One feature that I'm still on the fence about is if you click in both sticks, you can self-destruct your vehicle. So you can literally drive into somebody and then just self-destruct your vehicle, dealing damage. Now, I think that the way that self-destruct should work is it should be something that only can be done under a certain percentage of health, like under 10% vehicle structure left, you can self-destruct, because too many people just run into you, lose their weapons, have full health left, and then self-destruct and blow you up. So it's really annoying that way. There is some other really cool things that you can do before I actually play a match, which don't worry, I will be playing a match. But this is my last problem with the game. As you can see, I have 198 of 200 space used, and originally I thought that I could have 200 different items, which is fine. Well, no, that's not the case. These 200 space are taken up by your paints, your scrap, your fuel, your copper, all your currencies that you get, any event currency, any container that you get. I don't know for 100% certainty. I don't think that when you have double of the same part, those take up slots. But I can tell you for 100% certainty, I have 15 small radars. And watch what happens when I sell 10 of those small radars. Which the neat thing is, this does have a player-controlled economy. So sometimes things are worth more than others. And you can actually sell stuff to other players for the coin currency, because there's coins and fuel and you need both of those currencies. You can go to the market and you can buy stuff from other players as well. Pricing, of course, varies. And then you'll see, like, I have my radar up there. So I was at 198. If I go to my storage, I'm now down to 188. Well, this is a little bit ridiculous that every single part of the same item counts against my storage space. And like these hornets, you can't salvage them. You can't sell them. You can't discard them. They're basic starting equipment. So you'll never use them, but they sit there and take up your inventory space. And that really, really pisses me off, because I like to hold on to things so I can sell them when the price is at its highest point. But it literally will not let you play the game if you have 200 of 200 storage space. There is a way to buy additional storage space, but it's pretty damn expensive, so not really worth it. Again, the starter wheels, I can't get rid of them. Now let's go ahead and actually play a match. So we'll cover the different types of matches. This is an event currency, so don't worry if it's not there for you. Now you can hover over the currency and you will see that there is a limit. This is a weekly limit to the amount of currency that you can earn. And when you first start the game, you won't earn as much. But then once you get up to, I think, like around level 10, you hit the max cap. And so far that's been 2,800. Now, I don't like this because I don't like games that want you to farm. They want you to play. They give you a daily challenge. They give you a weekly challenge. The weekly challenge is play 14 hours in a week. The daily challenge is play 2 hours in a day. They give you all this stuff, but then they penalize you with a cap and say, oh no, you wanted to play that? Well, sorry, you've earned as much scrap as you can for the week. Well, what if I just want to farm scrap? That's all I want to do. I want to get scrap. I should be able to do that. You know, it shouldn't be capped, or at least not at 2,800, because 2,800 is nothing when you're earning between 10 to 20 pieces per game, and the matches only take a couple minutes. So let's just go ahead and play one of those matches real quick, because there's also raids, which is PvE content. And now, I'm not really a big fan of driving games. Really, any game that you have to drive in. The closest thing that I play that you have to drive in is like Halo. So, you know, for this to keep my attention for almost a little over 4 days in-game is pretty crazy. Now, I'm going to cover another thing that I like and dislike at the same time. Most of the time when you enter a game, the maps are huge, which is pretty nice. And I will play 2 games so you can see the differences. But you have 8 players usually. 8 on each team, 8 on each side. And that's not really fair because you can only have 4 players on your team. So you can only go into a game with 4 players. The other 4 players are going to be randoms. And I don't really like that because you can't coordinate. In this game, you have to defend a base, cap the enemy base, or kill the entire enemy team, or some combination of those said 3 things. So it's definitely a little bit annoying. Like, this map has one main center base, and basically it's an all-out brawl to kill the entire enemy team or capture this base. So I just went straight for the base, but you can see there's a enemy coming in, and he's got that driller that I was mentioning earlier, that melee weapon in the front, which is incredibly annoying to deal with. But I did just strip his machine guns. So right now I'm using one of those really annoying builds. Like, he probably is very unhappy with me because I just stripped his machine guns. That guy has an autocannon, and I just stripped his weapons. So basically, he's a barge. He's a boat right now. Now, I did lose a wheel, and they're kind of stripping my weapons because he's behind me. But that guy's lost all of his weapons. So basically, I've just stripped 3 players' weapons. I'm now going to hide in a little corner and just go back to shooting at them because there's, relatively speaking, almost nothing that they can do about it. He can push me around and hope that his teammates come by, or he can try and self-destruct, but that's pretty much it. He really can't do anything else. Now, granted, I can't do a whole lot, but that's because I'm out of tires. I'm literally missing 5 tires here, so I don't expect to really be able to do a whole hell of a lot. That guy's suiciding. You can see that he's got a little red light, so he just ran in and suicided into my teammate. That guy's going to hide behind the shipping container there, but we will win at this point because we're capping the base, and we also have more players than the enemy team. So this is just an example that these white machine guns, having 5 of them all firing at the same point, or 3 of them all firing at the same point, can be overpowered, especially for taking out parts. And the way that I would personally fix it is I would make it so that if you have more than 2 of the same type of weapon, so 2 machine guns, 2 miniguns, 2 cannons, 2 turrets, anything like that, that it would be a diminishing damage, a diminishing value by 50%. Make it a harsh value to make people play with something other than like shotguns and melee, or 5 white machine guns, or something along those lines, because it's just really not fun to basically have to play one of 3 ways: shotgun and melee build, all drone build, or running around with 2 purple cannons on top of your car trying to one-shot people at point-blank range. Now, this is the second type of map. You'll see there's a white circle behind me, and then there will be an identical white circle on the other side of the map that you have to capture. Those are your bases, your base and the enemy's base. And we will probably lose this game because I have 3-4 bots on my team, and the enemy team has all players, or almost all players, which is kind of one-sided, but I'm going to kind of hang back and play a little bit more support, since all I can really do is strip parts off of vehicles. I don't do a lot of damage per shot. But this is where winning in one of these matches can be really, really interesting. Like, there's their entire firing squad over there, which is not something that I want to be in front of. So I am going to go make like a sneaky devil and go for their base. That guy has, I'm not sure what he has. He has chords and something else. Oh, he has a shotgun and an autocannon. That's a prime example of annoyingness. So he just stripped off my back armor. And he's down to just his autocannon, but his autocannon has stripped out my tires. And there comes his other buddy with another autocannon. And he knows to target my weapons, so I'm basically a dead man right now. But basically what you can do is, okay, we got one segment of their base capped. Now that we got one segment of their base capped, even if only one of our team is still left alive, we can win the game simply by, well, running away and hiding. Now I died, as you can see. I mean, that guy has full mobility, so, you know, he killed me. There's a double cannon build, like I was telling you about the meta with that, and you can look at how much damage he does with those double cannons, but it's not really the thing that everybody uses. It's probably the third build that most people would use, but the number one is melee and shotgun, which is what I have the biggest problem with, is melee and shotgun. Cannons, they're hard to aim and relatively easy to dodge. I would rather deal with a guy with double cannons than deal with a guy with shotguns and just strips all your weapons, or get you hooked on their vehicle and then you literally can't move. So this is going to be a loss because they capped 2 segments of the base, almost capped 3 segments of the base, because I was playing with randoms. But this just gives you an idea of how the game mechanics work. And you only earn fuel, which is the currency that you need to do or need to have for raids. And I'm kind of aggravated that you only earn fuel if you have a fuel barrel or fuel plus tank intact and you win. On a defeat, you earn no fuel. On a draw, you earn no fuel. And if you're dead, on a win, you earn no fuel. So I understand how they did that, but you also earn a minimal amount of fuel, which is rather annoying. I believe that on a draw, you should earn half the fuel that you normally would. So a fuel barrel would normally give you 5, and on a draw, it would give you like 2. That's at least the way that I think it should be. I think you should get a little something for fuel for a draw, because you have to win a shit ton of matches, even with a fuel barrel and a fuel plus tank, in order to get fuel to go ahead and do the raids. Now, your raid car, well, that can be completely different from your PvP car. So I can go ahead and eliminate all of this stuff. And this is where I actually have fun. I have more fun in the raids than I do in the PvP, because you can really kind of customize your vehicle and have fun with it, whereas you can't really have fun, or you can't have as much fun, I should say, with the vehicles when you are playing PvP. So like I said, I love machine guns. I love machine guns and I love autocannons. Those are like my 2 favorite things, but I can't use the autocannon because, well, unfortunately, I don't have the power to use it. I need a generator, and I don't have a generator, so I'm just going to do the good old standby machine gun build. And this is a build that has suited me pretty well. I mean, it's worked for me. So I put this machine gun, which is my hardest hitting, I put my Spectre towards the front and up a little bit higher, and then all I want to do is, because it doesn't matter your power score when you do a raid, is you want to go ahead and make sure you flip that around a bit, but you want to make sure that you block it from like the sides and everything, so that people can't shoot it as easily, and the AI can't shoot it as easily. Now, players, they will always go for your weapons, or your tires. AI, they usually don't do that quite as much. You can also paint your vehicle, which if you care about cosmetics, yeah, sure, that's cool. The more armor you add, the slower your vehicle's going to go, except, you know, tracks are always cool. You can also add these items that you'll pick up, like these lights. I can put a light there in my vehicle that gives me additional XP gain or reputation gain. It's very, very important later on in the game that you have that. If you don't have it, then, well, let's just say things get a bit annoying. Now, let's see, where can I put the radar? I'm going to put the radar on the side. The only reason why I'm putting these on is for team benefit. I have a radar and a radio, so I can detect enemies farther away and transmit that data to team members. And then depending upon, let's take a look at the raids, because not all raids are equal. Cargo race is about speed. Convoy is about speed and firepower. Siege is about defense and firepower, which if you click on it, it'll tell you, let's see, You know what? We'll do 2. I'll do 2 raids. So I'm going to roll with what I have right now. We'll do an easy raid. And I have no fuel right now, so I will go ahead and put 20 fuel in my tank. Your fuel is reset at 8 p.m. Eastern time every day. So when you start initially, it'll be like 60 fuel, and then it goes to 100, and then eventually you can get to 200, which is the maximum cap that I have been able to see in-game. And this is where I have fun, personally. Now, unfortunately, you need that fuel to do the raids. So you'll see a lot of high score players in raids, like 7,000 plus score players in raids. And cargo race is one of the easiest of the raids to do, because basically all you have to do is gather these little packages up and you earn additional time for it. Now, the harder the difficulty the raid, then the less time that you get to complete it. So that's where having a fast vehicle pays off. And that's where you want to have, like I have, the next thing that I want to purchase, I want to purchase a engine, because an engine will make your vehicle go faster or accelerate faster, depending on which one that you get. Now, I don't like the fact that you can see these guys, they have these really nice compact cars and everything, because they have certain cabs. Certain cabs are very easy to use and build off of, while other cabs aren't. Like the cab that I have, because that's what the game gave me when I opened a crate, is a trucker cab. And it has one more power, which allows me to have that weapon cooler, but it doesn't really have any good buildable surfaces on it. Like, it's hard to hide in your vehicle, it's hard to armor up, and it's just generally more difficult to use. There's a melee build, like I was talking about earlier. That guy's using a PvP car. If he was to melee you, you pretty much wouldn't be able to get off of it, and he would just grind you to pieces, which is a very annoying mechanic, because those rotating weapons, like the augers and everything, they only take 1 power to put on, and they do constant damage while they're in contact with your vehicle. So it's very, very annoying. Now, I mean, I understand, yeah, they need to do some damage. Yeah, you have to melee a vehicle in order to do the damage with it. All of that stuff, I understand. But I just feel like the easiest way to get around the problem with them would be to make it so that they only did damage while you were actively using it. In other words, as you can see, my machine guns are on my left bumper, and you can change which weapons are on what fire control group and get quite detailed with it, which is, again, something that I like. It's a pro to the game. Like I said earlier at the beginning of the video, this game has a lot of potential. I just wish that a few things would be tweaked and modified to make a little bit more of an even playing field. And most of that comes down to the melee. So what I would say is, with those rotating melee weapons, the constant damage melee weapons, you shouldn't be able to do anything else. It should take like all of the power from your engine to run those melee weapons. So you shouldn't have power to your wheels, or you should have an extremely diminished amount of power to your wheels, because there's a weird physics mechanic with this game where a small little tiny ramp can make it so like one of these little go-kart vehicles can get underneath a big truck like mine and flip you, which is utterly retarded. So that needs a little bit of a change to make it balanced. Teammates are also very annoying because reverse in this game is non-existent, basically. So like, this is top speed for me at my weight with forward. Now you can press the B button, which is a hard brake, and then this is top speed reverse. Basically non-existent. So backing up to turn or to back up away from a teammate or something like that is next to, well, never done. And that's why teammates just choose to run into you and basically push you out of their way, because reverse isn't really a thing in this game. Like, it's there, it just sucks. So I really wish that they would make reverse a little bit faster than what it is now. That's my opinion. So now you've seen an easy raid, and that was easy. You get copper and coupons and everything. And now we'll do a little bit more of a difficult raid. Something that's going to be kind of marginally annoying, and I don't honestly know if we'll complete it, because not all raids are balanced. And they did try to balance the raids in a recent update, but they made Convoy, which was the easiest one to do, almost impossible to complete without a good team, because the truck you have to protect that takes all the aggro, you can't make him stop. You literally cannot make him stop. So Convoy, Siege, and Heist are the most annoying ones to do. Invasion is annoying depending upon your team, but can give you really good rewards. So now this is a medium raid, and the difficulty scales up drastically. I'm going to show you one of the raids, so I'm going to put 80 fuel in my tank. And we're going to go ahead and do this. Now it's medium difficulty, engineers, which I don't really like, but this is a siege. So let me cancel that actually, because this is going to be different weapons ideally. It's pump jacks, but you have to destroy pump jacks. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to build, because machine guns are not that useful against pump jacks. Really weird, you would think that they would be, but they're not. Cannons, on the other hand, are very useful against pump jacks. Cannons are one of my favorites to use against pump jacks. So I'll put the cannon and my Spectre on there, because I don't have enough room for 2 cannons, unfortunately. And then we will tuck this little ammo pack, because I happen to have it and it gives me more ammo for cannon shells. We'll tuck that on the inside there, because you don't want it to get shot. If it gets shot, it blows up, and yeah, that's not good. It does a lot of damage to you. So then we find a match for Siege. So it is cool. And I do like this game, and the fact that like different weapons do better in different raids. I just wish that the raids, for as difficult as they are, like easy, you almost never fail. Medium, you fail a lot. For instance, we have a 3.7, a 4.4, myself, and 1.7K. So we can fail very easily, because this is time-based. Like, we have 21 seconds right now. And this is not exactly an easy map either. There's no real long-range spots that I can set up. Actually, I can set up... Nope, there's a tree in my way. So I'm going to try and engage this pump jack right here. And you'll see that it's actively shooting at me, and defeat right off the bat. Like, not enough time to do anything. Got 0 reward for it. Just absolute shit. So, depending upon the faction, the difficulty of the raid, and the map, they are nowhere near balanced. I believe maps that are very open should be a reduced amount of time, whereas maps are hidden behind buildings and up mountains and under mountains and all that stuff, they should be maybe a little bit extra time that, you know, you have to complete it. So now, forget the cannon. There's no need for the cannon. I am going to forget the weapon cooler. Forget that part. And we are going to completely rebuild the vehicle for Invasion, which is a Leviathan raid. Pretty cool, actually. I will admit, it is really cool. So I'm going to keep the Spectre, but we need to up armor your vehicle because, yeah, Leviathans do a shit ton of damage. Like, it's not funny how much damage they do. And I don't want them to hit my machine gun, which they will go for your machine gun instantly. The AI is retardedly accurate with that shit. So you want to try and armor up your vehicle as much as possible, especially your cab, in order to protect from damage, which again, this is the trucker cab. It's not very good at protecting from damage. Like, it's not one that you can hide easily in the middle of your vehicle or something along those lines. So basically I'm creating a box. It's not going to look very good, but it will get the job done. The little radar thing I can't hide, so I'm going to take the radar and I'm just going to jerry-rig it and put it on the back of my vehicle because it's honestly unimportant. It doesn't matter. It's just convenience. Doesn't cost power or anything like that. And I'm going to stick that radio inside there. Let's see. Try and put the autocannon on. Because, see, for this, you need range. Range is ideal. Range and tankiness. So, missile launchers and things of that nature are going to be your best friends. Like, mounting the autocannon up there, that would be nice. But it'll get shot off in literally 2 seconds. So, don't want to do that. You want to bury your autocannon. And like I said, controls, not the best when it comes to mounting parts, because it wants to kind of like snap to the nearest weld point. So there isn't a, hey, let me lower this piece down a bit, let me raise this piece up. There isn't that function in the game. And because that function isn't in the game, it makes it incredibly difficult to actually put stuff where you want it to go. And certain things you can't weld to either. Now, you can also fuse your weapons, which is really, really cool that you can fuse weapons. And I'll show you that right now. Like these vectors, if you press Y on them, you can go down to upgrade. And you can fuse both of these vectors together. So like you can add vector and it'll show you what the possible fusion is. And the bad thing is I don't have enough vectors because I believe it actually takes 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, you can fuse like the vector together, and if I had 3 of those vectors, I could fuse them together and they would make a stronger with a random stat version of the weapon. So there's plenty of upgrading and stuff like that that you can do, which is really, really cool. Now, since I'm doing a raid, I'm going to remove that fuel barrel, and then hopefully it'll let me set my autocannon in. Nope, not quite yet. All right, let's get this built up just a bit. Put that there. What I'm doing is I'm just raising up the truck just enough that I should be, in theory, able to mount my autocannon. Now, I'll have no weapon cooler, but I'll have my autocannon, which is all that matters. And it's because it's not high enough, and it hits the back of my cab, which is why I can't technically mount that yet. So what you have to do is you have to basically stack up parts in order to go ahead and mount it. And keep in mind, you do have a part limit. So in this game, there is a limit to the number of parts, and depending upon your level determines the limit of parts that you can have. So basically, I just built a box there for my autocannon to sit on, and it is still barely, but still not quite high enough. So, radiator grill, that's not gonna work. You need a nice square surface. And that can be another thing that makes this difficult, like trying to figure out exactly where to put things and how to put things. Like for instance, what I was doing was not using like my head really, and because I need to get up the weapon so high, I'm actually going to put these struts in the back of my vehicle, and they will allow me to raise the height of this platform pretty much to a high enough point that I should be able to just directly mount the platform on there without much of a problem, I think. And that should be high enough now to mount the autocannon. Let's see, what is it hitting? Because I can mount it on the side. It's hitting something. It might be hitting my Spectre. And this is one of the annoying things that you have to go around and deal with, is because building stuff, sometimes it just doesn't want to build where you want it to build. But there we go. That is almost perfect placement for that. And then I don't have the ability to use 2 weld points. I only have the ability to use 1 weld point if I want to keep the Spectre on. So now I have my Spectre and my autocannon. They're not as shielded, like they're not as well shielded as I would like them to be. So it is at this point that you want to add additional armor, ideally. And this can really get quite complicated. Like, it can take you a long time to build the way that you want to build, because like the weak point is those struts. So I need to protect those struts so that AI can't see those struts, because AI will target those struts, and you don't want them to do that. It would be very, very bad if they did that. Come on. Set up. Damn you. Like I said, placing parts, not the best, because you're using a joystick to place a part, which, yeah, can be annoying. And then I'll just stick the radio on the side of the truck. Like, fuck, I'll put it on the front. It's literally pointless. It doesn't take up any power or anything. It's just parts. And that's basically what you do. So hopefully, if everything goes right, I will receive a well-geared, good team, and I won't waste my fuel, because it is incredibly easy to waste your fuel when doing this. And that's one of the things that a lot of players hate, because they can waste their fuel. And we're just going to brick in that autocannon. Again, the AI will target your weapons first. So if given the opportunity to, they will shoot your weapons. They will always go for weapons first. It doesn't matter what you do. They'll always target them first. Now, my autocannon isn't going to be able to aim there. So I will remove that and just put it in the back as a shield. Because weapons have an aiming arc. And if the barrel can't go low enough, then it won't be able to actually see it and hit it. So it'll just defeat the purpose completely of having the autocannon. So I'm just going to put this shroud up. And like that. Not the best thing that I could come up with, but okay for now, I suppose. And that's basically what you do, is you build up a really nice, really armored box. And ideally, you might want to have a generator, or you might want to have a rocket launcher, because rocket launchers do really well in this raid that I'm about to go and show you. And tracks. Tracks are the other thing. They're a personal pet peeve. I love tracks. I wish I could get tracks, but you can't get tracks unless you spend money on the game, or you spend a shit ton of time to farm the parts to make tracks. So this game is not pay to win, which is the other thing that I should say. Definitely not pay to win, but it is one of those things that can be insanely annoying, because there's all these little things like coins, which are universal. You can buy whatever you want with coins, and you can buy coins for real money. You can buy these packs for real money. Like, there's a $50 pack that gives you a purple cannon that's really, really strong, and tracks. And tracks are very hard to compete with. So I did not properly slot my weapons. Let's see, the team that I have is 4K, 5K, 7K, and myself at 5K. Not the best team. This guy's build is, I don't know what he's doing. He's basically useless. And what you have to do here is you have to defend this pump jack. And you're going to be fighting other players, not like actual players, but you will be fighting other players' vehicles that they make called Leviathans. And Leviathans are super, super strong because they have insanely high part limits and they have a lot more power than your vehicle does. So my personal build style for my vehicle is one that I can stay back at range with. I love being able to stay back at range. That's why I love this autocannon. It was actually the first weapon that I wanted in the game. It took me a while to get because you do have to lead your target a bit with it, but it fires explosive shells that deal more damage at an increased distance. So the farther away you are from your target, the more damage that this autocannon will do. Also, autocannons have a decent turn speed, and they have very long range. So we killed him. We might actually get it done. Depends on if we get a really annoying Leviathan. There are Leviathans out there that people build that are just completely broken as hell. Another reason why I can't give the game a super fantastic rating, because there we go. I just took a double cannon shell. I'm surprised I didn't lose more armor. Where is that Leviathan firing from? That guy that bought a... wow. Yeah, see, those are the treads that you can buy if you spend real money. And he obviously spent real money and bought that pack. And that's why I'm not chasing that vehicle. This weapon combo that I'm running right now rewards accuracy. It rewards you for being at a distance, and it rewards you for actually hitting your target. My machine gun, the more times I hit my target, the more of a damage bonus that I gain. The autocannon does more damage the farther away from the target I am. Now, unfortunately, my teammate decided to push that Leviathan completely out of my range. And now I've had to move over to a less optimal firing angle. And of course, the autocannon will overheat faster than my machine gun. And if I was thinking, I would have basically slaved the weapons to two different fire control groups so that they were independent of each other as opposed to firing at the same time. I did not do that. I really should have done that, but I did not. So I am suboptimal at this moment. As you can see, I'm hitting decently hard. When my autocannon hits, it does hit hard. And that's one of the reasons why I love the autocannon. I wish it was more effective in PvP, but it's not because of the melee shotgun meta, which is what everybody loves to use. And of course my teammate is just blocking him so I can't hit that cab. There we go, it's dead. And I have half health right now. Which, one nice thing is you do get a free revive. You can respawn a one time for free on every single raid that you do. So that is a very nice benefit because I will probably die. My weapons might get shot off or I might just completely die. So I'm going to try and get in position here. But teammate's got to run into me because he's kind of a bit of a douche. And he has a rocket launcher, which is really, really effective against these Leviathans because it strips parts so easily. And I'm just staying back. I'm not going to be the guy up there to push the Leviathan around. You take way too much damage. You get your weapon shot off. This is actually a relatively easy Leviathan. Sometimes you get really easy Leviathans that are just poor builds. Other times you get really difficult ones. And I say that, but he just took off my autocannon like it was freaking nothing. So I'm down to my machine gun. That's a prime example of how much damage. See, he just took off my machine gun. They will specifically target your weapons. So now, with only a minute left, and he's running away from me, I won't be able to self-destruct in time. I hate that. Alright, now I'm back. I used my free respawn, which, like I said, I was gonna have to use at some point. And now I'm just gonna sit there and try and pelt his cab from a distance, because as you can see, I'm doing more damage when my autocannon fires, and I am able to hit multiple parts. You just have to pay attention to your cooldown and everything. So there we go. And that's actually the 10th Leviathan raid that I have been able to complete. So I got that really nice shiny achievement for it, and I got 24 copper and 6 coupons, which is actually really good, plus a okay amount, like 1,000 XP. Also, once you get over level 10, it does start to take forever to level up. So overall, I would say it's a good game. It has good potential. But like I said at the beginning of the video, about a 5 is all that I can really give this game, like 5 or 6 in its current condition. Easily could be an 8 or 9. Easily. If it wasn't for those few major issues. So a quick recap. The melee shotgun meta build. The storage space being limited to 200 total items and then kicking you out once you have over 200 total items, making it so that you can't hoard stuff to play the market with, and a very, very slight tinge at pay to win. Not pay to win fully, but just enough of a tinge, because of the fact that people can do what has been affectionately known as, like, smurfing, which is where they take these very powerful purple weapons, like these purple rocket launchers or purple shotguns, or they have like the Steppenwolf's faction unlocked, and they take the purple weapons like the clarinets, or they have like the 88mm cannons, basically these really powerful weapons like that Executioner 88mm. They take that and they put nothing else on their vehicle, and they go into PvP and they get matched against people that are still rocking all white weapons and armor, and they just one-shot everybody. Because that exists in the game, it does deter a lot of players from playing it and continuing on. So I believe that the bracketing should be more based upon the rarity of your parts. In other words, if you're using purple weapons, like this vehicle loadout right here, then I should fight people that have purple weapons. If I am using blue weapons, I should fight people with blue weapons. If I am using whites, all whites, I should not fight anybody that has any blues. And I know that might take matchmaking a little bit longer then, but it would definitely be worth it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, make sure that you leave a comment. Otherwise, smash the like button, share the video with a friend, and, well, let me know what you guys think. Until next time, stay frosty.